Welcome back, everyone. It is Thursday. Every Thursday, we go live chatting health and fitness. Today is all about fitness through the decades. My name is Lisa Holton. I am your new Tell It Like It Is best friend, personal trainer, nutrition coach, and faster way to fat loss coach. I work with women who are in perimenopause, helping them to balance their hormones naturally through exercise and proper nutrition so you can lose fat. All right, let's dive in. I have been in the health and fitness space for, literally my whole life, but training, teaching, coaching, about 17 years. I owned a gym for 5 of those years. I have done group exercise and personal training and nutrition coach the rest of the time. So I have been to a bazillion workshops and I've got a bazillion continuing ed credits. So I thought today would be kind of fun to talk about fitness through the decades. A lot of people don't realize that your exercise needs to change as you go through the decades. What we did in our teens and 20s no longer work in our 40s, 50s, and 60s. So I just want to talk about what does work and what you should be focusing on. Now, again, this is based on my own research on myself and my clients. This is also based on research I have read, classes and courses I have taken. And so take it with a grain of salt, right? If you're like, I love playing sports and I'm 65, great. Keep playing those sports. Not saying you can't. This is just what I've seen and heard and read. All right, so in our teens and 20s, most of us, if you're a female, probably started dieting then. And we were taught to eat less and exercise more. Generally, in your teens and 20s, like at least this is how it used to work, not kind of so much anymore, and I can talk about that. You could eat less and exercise more and you'd be fine. So an example would be, like in college, you could eat like a whole frozen pizza by yourself and maybe drink a few too many beverages. And then the next day you would just like go on the elliptical for an hour and you'd burn it all off, right? Awesome. Doesn't work like that anymore, does it? No. So basically in your teens and 20s, you have your hormones working with you and your metabolism is working with you. Everything is chugging along. It wants you to be healthy, right? And so you're kind of good to go with basically whatever you want to do. Now we move into our later 20s and 30s, and this is where weight gain does start to happen to people, primarily because most people start getting a job and they have to adult actually, okay? Like I have a young 20-year-old, he's 21, and we call it like he's like fake adulting because he's in college, so we still pay for quite a bit of things. So it's like you're fake adulting. You're like living on your own, but you're not paying all your own bills. He only has like summer internships. He doesn't really have like a job during the school year because his focus is on school. So, they have a little bit more carefree life. But when you graduate from college or when you get that job, late 20s and early 30s, you also start to what people call settle down. You might get married or find a mate. You might start to have children. And so all of a sudden you have different hormones. You have a lot of stress added to your life and you start to become more sedentary, which that there is like the key to why people gain weight. They become sedentary and stressed out. Usually when you're sedentary and stressed out, you reach for more comfort food, which is high carb, high sugar, high fat foods, generally found in mainly prepackaged and processed foods. So that's what people reach for. So now, if you are a female, you possibly could be having children. Your hormones are a little bit wacky because you are pregnant, then you're not pregnant, then you might get pregnant again. So it's kind of an influx of hormones that you have at different stages of your life in the late 20s and the early 30s. So for exercise during these years, you really want to make sure that you're walking. Again, you can do cardio and strength training. Basically, you just need to keep moving your body and eat healthy, okay? Now, moving into our 40s. When we move into our 40s, this is where it's crucial as to what you start doing for exercise. Basically, anything under 40, you can do what you want and you're going to see results. For most people, I will put an asterisk next to that. When you hit 40, sometimes late 30s, all of a sudden, everything you've been doing goes out the window. Nothing is working. You can try what you did when you were 15, when you were 25, when you were 30, and you're not going to get the same results. and you are frustrated as crap, aren't you? I know. I've been there. My clients have been there. This is why people come to me. So you are frustrated. You have no idea what's going on. How come what I was doing 5 years ago worked great? Now it's not working. You are eating less, you are exercising more, and you are not getting the results you want. It's because your hormones are no longer balanced. It's because a majority of you, when you get into this stage in age, are in perimenopause. It's not to blame all of our hormones on all of these issues, but if your hormones aren't balanced, it's certainly a lot harder to lose weight. So it becomes so important in your 40s to start lifting heavy weights and to stop with all of that cardio. Walking is great. You need to strength train. There are so many women that do not strength train and they're like, oh, I just walk. I'm like, okay, great, but that's not going to help you. Like, you need to add in strength training. Strength training is of utmost importance in your 40s, like hands down, because in your 30s, you start to lose 2% muscle mass every year. So if you lose 2%, oh, I love the bubbles or balloons. Thank you, Instagram. If you lose 2% of your muscle mass every year and you're not lifting weights, you're always in a decline. That is not good for your longevity. That is not good for bone health. So in order to live a long life healthy, and in order to ward off certain diseases like osteoporosis and osteopenia, and now they're saying Alzheimer's, you need to lift weights. That is of utmost importance. As we get into our 50s and 60s, balance work is very high on that list. So you want to continue strength training, you want to continue walking, but then adding in mobility and balance work like yoga, bar, even, adding in like leg lifts, high knees when you're washing the dishes, kickbacks, things when you're strength training that you could do that require you to be on one leg at a time. Lunges are a great example of that. Single leg squats, single leg deadlifts, because as we get older, we're more prone to falling. We don't want to do that. The reason we're more prone to falling is because we have balance issues. Because what we don't work falls away. That includes balance work. That includes mobility. That includes flexibility. So it is important the older we get to start incorporating stretching, yoga, and mobility work into your routine. And then as you get into your 70s and beyond, it becomes important to do all of it. So you might not be lifting as heavy in your 70s and beyond as you were in your 40s, but even body weight exercises are key. Because in the United States, the number one reason why people go into the nursing home is because they can't get themselves off the toilet. I don't know about you, but that sure is not going to be me. So if that doesn't make you want to do some squats, I don't know what will. So that is a brief intro into fitness in the decades and what you can start focusing on now, depending on what stage you're in. If you want to learn more about how to balance your hormones, just comment the word hormone below and I'll send you my free hormone guide. But the key here, what I hope you learned from this takeaway, is strength training is so important for all ages, especially as we get older. So if you're not currently lifting weights, please start. And if you think you're lifting weights, I just want to tell you that your yoga sculpt, your HIIT, and your little light weights you're lifting in bar or a group exercise class does not count as strength training. Strength training needs to be heavy, it needs to be hard, and it needs to have progressive overload in it. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me and let me know. I'm here to help and support you in your health journey.